John Duffield, health futurist and patient survivor, former SVP of Technology Experience at Omnicom Health, talks to host Doug Simon for PR's Top Pros Talk.
I'm really excited to speak to John, who's had about the most unique experience of almost anyone I've spoken to in our more than 300 episodes. And it started with him being very forward-thinking executive in the healthcare space. Can you tell us about that?
Yes, absolutely. Hi, Doug. It's so great to be with you here. As a former technology executive at Omnicom Health, my role was really helping guide some of the largest health and pharma brands into the digital transformation age, and then most recently, the age of trying to figure out what to do with AI, the impact it has, how it can transform their commercialization process, the way they interact with patients and doctors, and really look at what does the new way to go to market using artificial intelligence and the benefit that it can provide beyond drug discovery and things like that. Really from the lens of what does the next era of the patient experience look like? That was my remit there.
Yeah, and then you had a health trauma that made the patient experience something you were dealing with. And you turned to AI as part of that. Can you share how you sort of started and one of the big concerns you had when you were first diagnosed?
Yeah, of course. Well, I tell you what, Doug, I did not plan on being a case study, a walking, talking case study, but I shifted that lens of AI transformation from brands immediately to myself and my own treatment journey when we realized, by chance that I was diagnosed with or was born with a heart condition that progressed into something a lot worse. And so even working in the space and being familiar with the health process and many different disease states, it was overwhelming. So AI initially helped me make sense of the clinical complexity associated with heart valve disease and aneurysm and regurgitation and all of the things I was dealing with because tell you what, the emotional journey is real, the anxiety is real, and it absolutely takes over. So I needed beyond the wonderful support I had from my family and my wife, I needed another outlet to help process the information because I didn't want to go down the rabbit hole of Google and searching and waking up in the middle of the night, going down rabbit holes of misinformation. I wanted answers coming to me that were clear and practical and made sense.
Yeah, and one of the challenges, and I think anyone who's watching this who is a parent can feel it, was how are you going to communicate this to your kids about what was going to happen, what you were going through, all those concerning issues? AI and Taylor Swift played a role in this.
They did, and she did, and yes, it's one of the highlights, Doug. I've been lucky enough to present my story on stage quite a few times, and that's one that gets a lot of attention. Basically, my wife and I were dealing with, like you mentioned, how on earth can we possibly explain what's happening with Daddy's heart to our 11-year-old and 9-year-old, and my daughter's 11 and she's a big Taylor Swift fan, and my boy's a big basketball fan. So I thought maybe, just maybe, AI could help me meet them where they are, contextualize this into something that only they could truly understand in their passion areas. So with Taylor Swift, I was working with multiple different AI models, and I went to ChatGPT for this one, and I basically said, look, I set the context. I'm dealing with the challenge of helping my 11-year-old girl make sense of my condition. Can you help me do this in the vein of Taylor Swift lyrics and trivia? So I took my entire clinical narrative, my diagnosis, the conditions, the treatment options, the surgery I'm going to have, all the different variations, even my surgeon's name, he's a very well-known surgeon, and put it all together. And I said, can you help make sense of this? So it was building a description and a narrative finely tuned to the lyrics and history of Taylor Swift. And it was just magical, Doug. I mean, it was taking some hit songs and it was converting it to, a cardiac story. And I thought for a moment, wow, maybe I can take this one step further. So using Suno AI, the music generation software, I basically took those lyrics and trivia and explanations and I converted it into a song called An Aortic Story. and I published the song, and it's just magical. And seeing my daughter's reaction to not only something that was created purposely for her, but to help her make sense of all the confusion and the worry into something that, only she could truly understand and make sense of. It was really incredible.
I mean, that is incredible. And we're going to be able to give you some clips for the viewer after the end of this piece, but don't jump ahead because there's more interesting stuff that really ties into a lot of what you're doing now. So you tackle that issue, went through this arduous treatment and recovery, but AI also played a role in your recovery. And that's something where AI can be impactful for other people out there who are going through medical situations.
100%. I mean, Doug, I went to the extent of finding everything I could on the web about the cardiac surgery process and open heart surgery, which is what I went through twice in a matter of 20 days, and everything I could find about the treatment options, and I put it all together in an agent. So I had somewhere to go for answers and conversation. One of the darkest moments I found is the wait and the gap between clinician visits when you're going through a major medical procedure or a pending surgery or something. It's that wait between where you go down the rabbit holes. I
Yeah.
had access to incredible information that was molding itself towards my needs, and I was having a conversation with it without fear of judgment. I could ask the same thing 60 times different ways and not annoy anybody. My AI didn't need a coffee break, didn't need to go and see 32 other patients that same afternoon. So it was amazing. And then I thought, wow, if this can help me make sense of the complicated journey and really help me from a mindset anxiety standpoint, let me know what to prepare for, help guide the way I was feeling. I thought, gosh, this could be helpful for any other patient going through a similar condition as me or a similar situation. And so I'm looking to see how to bring what I've created to the hands of as many people that need it.
Yeah, because I was going to say a couple of things. One is that not everyone is your level of sophistication to use this interactive search, though people are getting better. I just saw a stat that 60% of the people in the US are actually using AI search now, which is amazing. That's why, GEO is so important. And we're focusing our conversations that we're having through the podcast on AI in our business, offering AI optimized content. One of the things I found interesting is you shared some of the responses that your AI doctor, AI surgeon was giving you with the actual surgeon. What was the surgeon's response?
Well, he was very impressed with the fact that I was using AI to translate the complexities of the patient experience, and he said that he is excited to learn more. So we're having conversations. He said the situation is real. He said, John, we can't be with you every moment during your recovery, nor can my staff. So the fact that AI could play a role in that intermediate period, like I mentioned, I mean, look, let's also be real, Doug. ChatGPT is available to everybody.
Yeah.
5% of the world's population is using it. I saw a recent statistic. So, that's great, but that is the full open web, the entire corpus of human knowledge and intelligence. What I'm doing is providing a highly focused, fine-tuned version trained initially on the cardiac disease state and the conditions associated with major procedures there, really fine-tuned not to provide medical advice, but to provide emotional support and companionship to follow along in that journey. And that's what's become of particular interest to some major hospital institutions that I'm talking with about possibly testing something like this.
So, John, one of the challenges that the medical profession has to deal with is the anxiety that patients experience at many different stages of a health process. And obviously, you spoke of the one with your daughter. It's huge anxiety of communicating with your family. How is what you're doing going to help maybe provide some support people and lower their anxiety levels?
Doug, the anxiety is the biggest piece of all of this. For me, it was real leading into something major like this. And so I did a lot of research on that to find out. I met with a lot of patients in the Facebook support groups that I'm a part of that help me get ready and hear from others that have been through my experience. I learned that 60 to 80% of surgical patients that come in experience anxiety, and sometimes, half of them even get clinically diagnosed after discharge. It's
Wow.
extremely high. And I also learned that a more anxious patient requires about $2,000 to $7,000 worth of additional medical expense, to help care for them. So it has
Wow.
a real financial impact on the hospital system. So I thought, gosh, imagine if I could have a highly trained, focused patient app that is a conversational companion to help patients, then just maybe we can reduce their anxiety by a little bit by giving them emotional support and give them a preview of to what they would expect going through a major surgery. And then the clinicians, who are so overburdened with also addressing emotional support, can have a little bit freer capacity in that way. So there is, I mean, when anxiety goes unmanaged, the hospital ends up paying. So it's a really interesting area to unpack.
Yeah, it's fascinating. And also, when you think of it, support for the well spouse, my mom in her career was very involved with the Well Spouse Foundation, and that can give some comfort to them as well. Clearly, AI has changed your view of healthcare, and as well as your own experience. Can you maybe share a bit about if and how it has shaped your view on healthcare and what the future is going to hold?
It really has, Doug. For me, I think the biggest eye-opening piece was that, when we, instead of looking for a way to flash a shiny new object of technology into, in this case, healthcare or the patient journey, instead, I think the fact that coming from a point of becoming a patient and seeing that patient perspective, recognizing all of the bumps in the road or the points of friction in that journey, the most consistent one I found was the high levels of anxiety,
Mm,
and the desire to be more informed. The average person, is getting more curious about their healthcare, and every one of the specialists that I met along the way, about 49 in total
wow.
visits, all agreed that a more informed patient is an ideal patient, a patient that comes in. So I thought maybe we can just help reduce that load a bit. So for me, the power of AI to come from not a data and accuracy and answers standpoint, but from emotional guidance support, the ability to get feedback on your feelings, the ability to help prepare questions for your care team, the way to make sense of the condition that you're facing. Again, not to replace. One of the most magical periods I had in my 43-night hospital stay across three health systems was two appointments I had with chaplains at major hospitals. And the chaplain came in from a non-clinical perspective to truly speak to me about, where I'm at,
Right.
personally, emotionally, spiritually. I'm not an overly religious person, but yet the ability to talk to someone about this, and those two appointments of 20 minutes, Doug, were so magical in being able to pour my heart out, no pun intended, and have a conversation. And I thought if I could just bottle up that magic of those appointments and help scale that using AI to get in the hands of so many other patients who don't often get a chance to meet with these often scarce chaplains
Yeah.
or social workers, etc., then I think that's one of the true areas that I've found real magic from an AI perspective in healthcare.
Yeah, that is fascinating. And now I'll let you turn yourself into an imaginary disc jockey and let you give the introduction to the song that we're going to play.
This is a song inspired by my daughter, who I needed to communicate what was happening with Daddy's heart, directed by me, John Duffield, written by ChatGPT, composed by Suno AI. This is an aortic story. In a heart where beats are melody, there's a little twist in the symphony. Two flaps, not three. Open up, so free.
It's a bicuspid valve, unique as can be. Like a bridge in a catchy Taylor song, heart keeps playing strong all day long. Even if there's a bulge, like a note held too long. It's an aortic story in this heart song. Like a bridge in a catchy Taylor song, heart keeps playing strong all day long. Even if there's a bulge, like a note held too long, it's an aortic story in this heart song. Like a bridge in a catchy Taylor song, heart keeps playing strong all day long. Even if there's a bulge, like a note held too long, it's an aortic story in this heart song. Like a bridge in a catchy Taylor song, heart keeps playing strong all day long. Even if there's a bulge, like a note held too long, it's an aortic story in this heart song. It's an aortic story in this heart song. This heart song. This heart song.